bummy today. You was bony and looking too funny today. I don't care, nigga still make change. Let's go.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Chatting with Cheeze podcast. I'm your host, Fat Cheeze. Y'all already know the motto, no gimmicks, only the real. This is episode 36, and we back at the desk, baby. First and foremost, before we get started, I just want to say and thank and appreciate everybody who went out and who took the time out to check out my last episode, my interview with Isaiah Moore. Keep them numbers rising, man. If you haven't seen it and so happen to see this episode first, make sure you go back, check out my official interview with Isaiah Moore, man. It's some real good content. Do me that solid. Another thing I need from y'all, do not forget, smash that subscribe button. We right there at 200 subscribers. Like, we right there. We like a couple steps away. So get me to 200 subscribers. I'm really going to appreciate it. And let's go ahead and keep growing this channel up, man. Do not forget to like and share the content, and also to follow me on all social media handles. Let's jump right into it. So a reason why it feel like I haven't been to the desk in a little minute is because y'all know I had to take that trip this weekend. I went up to New York to go check out the big fight, Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach. Hell of a fight. Before I jump into my reaction and my thoughts on the fight, I want to give a shout out to all the DMV talent that stepped foot in that ring this past weekend. Shout out to Scooter Davis. Shout out to Gary Russell winning the belt. Congratulations, bruh. Shout out to Hurd who stepped in the ring. And man, all in all, shout out to Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach for putting on a great event. From the first fight of the card all the way to the main event, it was a hell of a night for boxing. Period. If you just a pure boxing fan, that should have been one that you should have enjoyed a whole bunch. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So I'm gonna give my official reaction to the Lamont Roach versus Gervonta Tank Davis fight. I'm just gonna read off some quotes first, and then I'm gonna go ahead and give you my thoughts after. So Davis' defense of his WBA lightweight championship against Lamont Roach Jr. ended in a majority draw in front of a stunned, sold-out crowd of 19,250 at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Two judges scored the fight 114 to 114, while a third judge scored it 115 to 113 in Davis' favor. In a strange scene that could have turned the tide of the fight, Davis inexplicably took a knee in the 9th round after getting touched by a jab, but referee Steve Wilkes decided not to score a knockdown for Roach. Davis suggested the reason he went to a knee was because grease from his head had gotten into his eye. The fight resumed with no penalty, but the knockdown could have swung the pendulum in favor of Roach. Had the knockdown been called, Roach could have won the 9th round by a 10-8 score. Instead, two of the judges scored the round 10-9 for Davis. Roach didn't disagree with Davis' assessment of the situation. However, he made it clear that the rules are the rules, and he should have been awarded a knockdown. So, like I just said, the fight ended in a majority draw, with one judge scoring it 115 to 113 in the favor of Gervonta Tank Davis, and the other judge scoring it 114 to 114, and we ended up with a draw. First and foremost, before I even get into my thoughts in it, I think us as boxing fans, we won on Saturday night. That's number one. I'm gonna go ahead and get that out the way. We won. My reaction and my thoughts to the fight, and I may get some flack for this. I feel like Lamont Roach deserved to win that fight. I feel like Lamont Roach won the fight. The reason why I feel like Lamont Roach won that fight is because I feel like, so with my assessment and what I witnessed with my own two eyes, I feel like that if we would have made it through all 12 rounds and Lamont the whole knockdown situation doesn't happen, I feel like Tank wins on the card. The reason why I say Lamont Roach won this fight is because going into the 12th round, on the unofficial scorecard, they had it graded 105 to 104 in favor of Tank. Now, Lamont Roach ended up winning the 12th round, if I'm not mistaken. If you count that knockdown, Lamont Roach wins that fight. I feel like Lamont Roach did everything in that fight to, to get that victory. I feel like he was out. Him and Tank, they both got some good shots in. I feel like Lamont was able to counter very well. I feel like that Tank was actually surprised at Lamont power. You seen the power from Lamont that a lot of people didn't think that he had. And a lot of people thought Tank was just going to go in there and get him out the way. Going into the fight months ago, you had a lot of people asking who Lamont, you know what I'm saying? Why would you pick Lamont Roach? Tank fight nobody's. Tank doing this. Now everybody trying to find the excuse for why, you know what I'm saying? People didn't really know. If you a true boxing fan and actually a fan of the sport, not just a casual that go off names, you know who Lamont Roach is. Like I tell everybody when it comes to boxing, if you a true boxing fan, you know styles make fights. Tank Davis and Lamont have came up together in this boxing game. They've sparred on multiple occasions, and they faced each other twice in the amateurs. Lamont knows stuff about Tank that a lot of Tank previous opponents don't know. Also, this whole training camp, Tank was at Headbangers training with Big Boog, training with Coach Burry. Lamont has been around them. Lamont has went to Headbangers to spar. So like I said, a lot of things that Tank previous fighter guys that Tank has fought in the past don't know. Lamont went into that fight knowing. I love what I seen from Lamont even heading into the fight. I think Lamont went in there with a plan, with his mind already made up. I will not allow Javante to, you know what I'm saying? I will not allow him to dictate this fight. I would not be intimidated by him. I'm going to go in there with all the confidence in the world. He said it on multiple occasions. One thing I can say about Lamont throughout this whole process, he stayed the same. He stayed consistent. He said, I'm a bad boy. I can boogie too. Let's boogie. I'm ready. I'm not intimidated. I'm not scared. There was no fear at all. And he went in there on Saturday night and he looked like it. I love what I seen from him. I think it's one clip going around where you see Tank throw some punches at him and he counter Tank, and you could tell he got Tank good. It shocked him. And I think it was just a surprise for everybody. For people that don't know boxing, it shocked a lot of people. A lot of people didn't expect this outcome. And it's even guys that was going in there rooting for Tank. It was guys in there that was going in there even rooting for Tank that, you know what I'm saying that they believe Tank lost his fight. And I mean, I gotta agree with him. I think Lamont won the fight. I think when you go back to that knockdown, I just want anybody that has an argument about it or got something they want to say about it, all I ask you to do is, in the history of boxing, I ask anybody to show me proof where somebody has went down to a knee. Not only did he go down to a knee, but go down to a knee and run over to his corner and then not be counted as a knockdown. Then I'm seeing all the excuses. I seen the girl. I meant to write her name down. I'm so sorry. I can't think of her name. But one boxer came out saying that she had to cancel her fight due to hair grease in her eyes and all that. I'm not arguing that. My whole thing is this. You didn't just start sweating in the 9th round. You started sweating. You were sweating way before the 9th round. So the grease wasn't bothering you all the way up until that point. And I'm not. And people showing videos saying that. I seen somebody post something saying that just because you take a knee is not counted as a knockdown. Come on, bro. Like, we just gotta be honest. I think, and I'm not gonna call it I'm gonna call it what it is. It was a robbery. I mean, I think Lamont did enough to win the fight. But I think out of all of this, they just set it up for a rematch. I would definitely look forward to a rematch. I would definitely want to see a rematch. But I think they did Tank a solid on this one. You know, superstar rules came into effect. Like I said, and I think the slow starts for Tank finally caught up with him. When you get in the ring with guys that's not really technically sound or that's not really that good or that don't know your tendencies, you can play around for those first couple of rounds and then end up landing a big punch and ending the fight. But when you going up against guys that's technically sound, that really can box, that really got power, that really, you know what I'm saying, really, you can't forget, Lamont Roach is a champion. He ain't just no random guy. He's a champion. You know what I'm saying? When you can't lollygag through the first couple of rounds and then think, okay, well, eventually I'm gonna land this shot, and then that's gonna be the end of it. Because guess what? When that shot don't come, when that shot don't end up coming, then you went for a rude awakening. You went for a fight, and that's what happened on Saturday night. Also, I believe that there's something going on as with Calvin Ford and Tank. I think it's something deeper than what they telling us. I believe there was a legit reason why Calvin wasn't there the whole training camp. It's something deep going on that I hope that they can figure out, because, you know, Calvin is like a father figure to Tank, and, you know, you just don't want to see things end like that. I'm a big Javante Tank Davis fan, but I gotta call a spade a spade. I gave this fight to Lamont Roach. I think Lamont Roach did everything in his power to win this fight. I think that if they count that as a knockdown, Lamont Roach win that fight. He win that fight. And I mean, I know people may have different opinions on it. They may say, you know, they don't feel that way. You may see some people say, well, Tank was dominating. Tank was up on the cards for most of the fights. Yeah, but like I said, going into the 12th round, the unofficial scorecards had it Tank 105, Lamont Roach 104. Lamont ended up winning the 12th round. If they count that as a knockdown, Lamont wins the 9th as well, which basically would have guaranteed him the win. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. And you know, this is why the sport of boxing has kind of like, you know, been on a decline, because things like this. I just want somebody to show me in the history of boxing. Maybe I missed something. But I just want somebody to show me in the history of boxing, where have you seen a fighter be able to just blatantly take a knee and then not be counted as a knockdown? The ref even started counting. So I'm trying to figure out, how could that just go and then no penalty, no nothing? The fight just went on like regular. I don't understand that. But for the most part, like I said, I would love to see a rematch. I don't know when. They asked Tank in the post press conference, could we see a rematch? He said he would like to do a rematch, but he didn't believe that would be his very next fight. I think right now you gotta strike while the iron is hot. Everybody, you know, and I think this is a pride thing for Tank as well. I seen him and Lamont going back and forth on Twitter. I think it's a pride thing for Tank. I think this one right here might have stunned his ego just a little bit. So I'm hoping that, you know, we can get the rematch as fast as possible, because that was a hell of a fight. Like I said, both of them went in there. They duked it out. And I mean, it sucked that it had to end in a draw. I would have rather much seen a winner, but I think it just set us up for a rematch, and we got to get a rematch. But hopefully this is something that'll fuel Tank. You know, we was hearing about the retirement talk and things of that nature. Hopefully that's over. But hopefully this is something that can fuel them, and you know, we could see both of them guys back in the ring pretty soon. But if it was up to me, and if my 2 cents mean anything, I get a fight. I get a fight to Lamont. I think Lamont won that fight. And you may disagree. If you disagree, put your reason down in the comment and let me know why you think, you know, they made the right decision, or why you think Tank should have won. But from what I seen with my own 2 eyes, and being a boxing fan as long as I've been one, I've never seen a fighter just be able to blatantly take a knee and then not be counted as a knockdown. So I gave it to Lamont Roach. But let me know how y'all feel, and, you know, we could talk about it maybe down in the comment section. Moving on to my next topic. So I don't know if I think it was, matter of fact, the same night I was getting ready to go to the fight, and literally probably like an hour before I left out, breaking news came through my phone that Deebo Samuel was traded to the Washington Commanders. So I'm going to go ahead and read some quotes, and I'm going to get into my thoughts on that. So the 49ers have agreed to send standout wide receiver Deebo Samuel to the Washington Commanders in exchange for a 5th-round pick. Like any trade agreed to, now this deal cannot be processed until the new league year begins March 12th. As part of the trade, Washington is taking on the remainder of Samuel's contract and paying his full $17.55 million salary for the 2025 season. For the Commanders, they have added another weapon for quarterback Jaden Daniels, trading for a former All-Pro wide receiver. 49ers will absorb $31 million dead money hit on this year's salary cap. So my thoughts on the trade, I like the trade for Washington. Actually, I love the trade for Washington. The reason why I love the trade for Washington is because I don't feel like they had to give up much. Giving up a fifth rounder for a talent like Deebo Samuel, I don't think that's bad at all. Because, with fifth round picks, that's hit or miss. That could be hit or miss. You never know what could happen with, a fifth round pick. To give up, only have to give up a fifth round pick for Deebo Samuel, I think that's awesome. And he's basically going to be on a one year prove it deal. Washington's going to have to pay him $17 million this year, but if they don't like what he gives them after this year, they can go ahead and let him walk. Or if he performs up to his standards, which we know, which we will hope somebody on a prove it deal basically this year he would do, then Washington has the option to go ahead and extend them. But we know one thing about Deebo Samuel. I like that Washington is being aggressive and they just not sitting on their hands due to the fact that they made it to the NFC Championship game with their rookie quarterback. They actually, saying, you know what, let's build off of what we did last year and try to, upgrade this team to get us over that hump. The main concern for Deebo Samuel is, can he stay healthy? And the main thing for Washington going into next season, Cliff Kingsbury is going to have to get in the lab and figure out a way that best suits how to use Deebo Samuel. I feel like the best season we got from Deebo Samuel was the year that they made it to the Super Bowl in 2021, where I think the goal for Kyle Shanahan going into that was just get the ball in his hands, whether it was out the backfield, whether it was short screens, anything. You just got Deebo Samuel is one of those guys. If you can just find a way to get the ball in his hands, he can make plays as long as he's healthy. I don't like the idea, and I think after the 49ers gave him that contract, that's what they tried to do. They tried to line him up on the outside and make him a traditional wide receiver, which I don't believe he is. I don't care what he's saying. I'm not one of those guys oh man, you a bona fide running back and all that. No, he's just a football player. He's somebody that if you put the football in his hands, he can make plays. And I think with Kyle, you kind of can, if you got a package, let's say for instance you have Jaden Daniels, Deebo Samuel on one side with Robinson or Austin Eckler coming out of the backfield with that could be something very dynamic and very special. And I just think, adding Deebo Samuel basically for a bag of chips, I don't really see the problem with that. People saying that he's washed and things like that. I don't believe he's washed. I just think he's had two down years. And last year he had 670 yards, 3 touchdowns, 136 on the ground with a touchdown, but he was injured for a bulk of the season. But the year before that, he had 892 yards, 7 touchdowns. He rushed for 225 and 5 touchdowns. Me personally, I don't consider that a down year. It depends on what standard you hold him to. When you have a 2021 season like he had, I kind of get it. He had 1,405 yards, 6 touchdowns with 365 yards on the ground and 8 touchdowns. That's the Deebo Samuel they're gonna hope to get in Washington. Do I see him giving you 1,400 yards? No, but if he can give you around, Terry McLaurin is gonna be that guy. Terry McLaurin is the number one guy. We already know that. That's established. It is what it is. If Deebo Samuel can contribute and maybe, let's say, give you 800 yards, stay healthy for a bulk of the season, and add what he can do out of the backfield and, with things like that, I consider that a success. You gotta look at it like that. They didn't really have to give up much. Deebo Samuel was one of the hottest names on the trade block, and Washington was able to capitalize off of it. They got Adam Peters up there running things in Washington as the GM. He came from the 49ers, so maybe he can get the best out of Deebo. Maybe he knows something that a lot of people didn't know. Maybe Deebo and Kyle Shanahan relationship just wasn't, what it used to be or something like that. He didn't like how he was being used. There's a lot of things that go into it. But I think the 49ers right now are just basically I think they're trying to blow it up. I seen somewhere they basically saying they even willing to trade Brandon Ayuk. You know they got to start gearing up to pay Brock Purdy. So I think right now 49ers are just kind of having a fire sale. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me if Kyle Shanahan's time wasn't winding down there, unfortunately. But the main thing for Deebo, like I said, is the injury. The injury bug has hit him a lot since he's been in the league. If he can calm that down, he got to get that weight together. I think this could be a solid move for Washington. Throughout his career, Samuel has never played a full season and missed 15 regular season games due to various injuries. February 11, 2024, Samuel hurt his left hamstring while running a route in the Super Bowl. He played through the injury. September 15th, 2024, he had a leg calf strain. In October 27, 2024, he had a chest and rib sprain pull. He had chest and rib and sprained and pulled, I think, that hamstring against Samuel. Suffered a rib injury during Week 8's game versus the Cowboys. And I think last year he was battling with like pneumonia or something like that. So it was just a lot. It was just a lot last year for him. But you know what they say? Sometimes, man, you got to get humble. Sometimes, you think, oh, I'm this and that, and they'll never trade me, or you think it'll never happen to you. Well, it happened, and you know what I'm saying? Now you get to basically go somewhere, you get a fresh start, new ears, new people in your ears, things of that nature. You going with a stud rookie, a stud quarterback who just coming off one of the best rookie seasons that we've ever seen. And I just think, this could be something good for Deebo. This basically, like I said, a 1 year prove it year. He's going to want to get his bag. Washington is looking to get over that hump. They made it to the NFC Championship game with basically, a bunch of free agents and a rookie and a stud rookie quarterback, so they thinking, we add a guy like Deebo Samuel. They still got a lot of money in cap space. They can go out and make other moves. Washington looking to dethrone Philly. Right now, if I had to say, and people may call me crazy, I would say Washington is the second best team in the NFC going in the next season. I know a lot of people may say, yeah, what about Detroit? I feel like Jaden Daniels is better than Jared Goff. I base it off the quarterback position. I think Jaden Daniels is better than Jared Goff. So I think if Washington could capitalize off what they did last year, build that team up, I think Washington will have a shot to be right back where they were at last year. And I think Deebo Samuels definitely 100% can add to that. Last year, these are the Commanders' wide receiver stats from last season outside of Terry McLaurin. Olamide Zaccheaus had 45 receptions, 506 yards, 3 touchdowns. Noah Brown had 35 receptions, 453 yards, 1 touchdown. De'Ami Brown had 30 receptions, 308 yards, and 1 touchdown. That was 1,267 yards and 5 touchdowns combined. So Deebo Samuel's best year in 2021 was better than three of their wide receivers all together, stats together total just last year. So Deebo Samuel's best year was better than all, basically outside of Terry McLaurin, better than all of Washington's wide receivers that they had on their roster last year. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, if they can get the 2021 version of Deebo or even close to it, I think this is a hell of a move for Washington. I will hope De'Ami Brown is a free agent. I would think that they would try to bring him back because he had a very solid outing in the playoffs. He looked very good. Besides that fumble in Philly, he looked very good. He stepped up and made some plays. Noah Brown looked good before he suffered injury during the end of the season, and I think that kept him out throughout the whole playoffs, but he looked very good. I would think that they would try to bring him back. With the addition of Deebo, I don't know the situation with Olamide Zaccheaus, but, I mean, if I'm them, I would try to bring a bunch of those guys made plays for Jaden down the stretch of the year, so I would think that, they would try to bring a couple of those out of those 3 guys. I think they probably would try to bring back 2, and then you add Deebo in the fold with that, and man, it could be looking up for Washington again next year. But if I'm giving my opinion, I like the move for a 5th rounder. You really didn't have to give up much. It didn't really cost you much. I like the move, and I mean, I think that was smart on their end. Like I said, the GM is familiar with the player, and I just think, maybe he thinks new scenery, playing on a prove year. Let's go ahead and see what we can get. And I like the move for Washington. So we just got to wait and see what happens. But Deebo Samuel is a Washington Commander, no longer with the 49ers. So that's that on that. Moving on. So I had another topic set up for today. And then, like I said, for some reason, every time they know I'm going to be at the desk, I get a breaking news alert or something come to my phone that I feel like, I need to talk about on this particular day. So on this particular day, I'm headed home, and I get something on my phone that says Shedeur Sanders' draft stock is falling. So I don't know what could have happened. I mean, so over this past weekend was the kickoff of the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Shedeur Sanders did not. A lot of the top guys, they don't really. The guys that know that they're guaranteed basically a top 10, top 15. They don't participate in the combine. They just do pro days. So Shedeur Sanders did not participate in the combine, but he did get on the podium, and I think he said some things that may have rubbed people the wrong way. But I'm gonna read off some quotes and then give you my opinion on what I think about this whole situation. So one of the quotes I got: as for Sanders, it appears he's fallen well out of the quarterback one conversation. With Cam Ward, the consensus top option at the position to this point. SYN's Connor Hughes even wrote on Sunday that he talked to scouts, general managers, executives, head coaches, assistant coaches, and agents at the NFL scouting combine. Not one has Sanders as a better quarterback prospect than Ward. The New York Giants really would be on an island of their own if they moved up for the Colorado passer. One general manager actually felt it was Ward, a gap, then Quinn Ewers, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Sanders with very little separation, the latter four. Meanwhile, NFL reporter Josina Anderson posted on social media that a quarterback's coach from a team drafted in the top 7 referred to Shedeur Sanders as coming off as brash and arrogant in his team interview. Teams are cooling on Shedeur Sanders for a number of reasons. The first being that Sanders showed little to no improvement in his game last season and made some poor choices. People are also a little turned off by the antics since January via Tom Pauline. There were 2 teams that are picking in the top 10 and have a need at quarterback that left their 15-minute meeting feeling as if Shedeur Sanders did not care too much what they or the organization felt of him. Per Todd McShay, I guess that's his Twitter handle. The Athletic's Dan Brugler unveiled his latest mock draft on Tuesday, and even though he predicted that the Pittsburgh Steelers would select Sanders with the number 21 overall pick, he revealed that a lot of NFL teams don't even think the signal caller is worth a first-round pick. Sanders is going to be the wild card in this draft. He could go in the top 6 or fall out of the first round entirely, and neither outcome would be a shock. Brugler wrote, he is not a first-round quarterback for a lot of NFL teams, which isn't a major surprise and matches my evaluation. But all it takes is for one front office to roll the dice on his skill set. So, let me give you my thoughts on this. I'm calling BS on the report that he's not a first-round pick. Shedeur Sanders will be a first-round pick in this upcoming draft. Coming up in April. There's too many quarterback needy teams that I don't see passing on him. First and foremost, you have the Browns picking at number 2. You got the New York Giants. You got the New York Jets. You got the Las Vegas Raiders. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's 5 teams. Now, the thing that I don't like and the thing that really, really upsets me when it comes to things like this and reports and stuff like this, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it, and a lot of people may don't like it, and honestly, I don't care. This is my platform, so I'm gonna say it. Why is it every single time an African American quarterback that that plays that particular position, the quarterback position, why every time they exude confidence or are confident in their abilities or let people know, how they feel, or let people, just come out and be pure honest. Why are they always labeled as arrogant? Why are they always labeled as cocky? Why are they always labeled as brash? You know what I'm saying? That don't make sense. The young man is confident in his abilities. I watched this press conference. What he said was, if you're not willing, and this is not quote, I'm saying it off my head, but I basically what he said was, if you're not ready to change the dynamic of your franchise, or you know what I'm saying, basically, if you ain't ready to take your team to the next level, don't draft me. I don't see any issue with that. He feels like he can come in, be a day one starter, and he feels like he could turn your franchise around. That's confidence. That's having confidence. This man, did we forget that quick who his dad is? The man's father is Deion Sanders, who's basically been dealing with scrutiny since he became a head coach. Since he became a head coach back at Jackson State. So I'm trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, how do y'all expect him to be? I'm pretty sure his dad is plugged in. He hears what these teams think about his son. His son hears and knows what these teams think about him. He thinks in his mind he's the number one quarterback in this draft. How does he go from potentially being the number one pick in the draft to all of a sudden now we hearing about him not making the NFL, him not even being selected in the first round after the NFL scout combine because people had a problem with what he said at the podium. We got to stop this, man. We got to stop this. If just because an African-American quarterback shows confidence or he's not going to sit up there and yes, sir, no, sir, or just be proper how the NFL scouts or how these NFL scouts or owners or GMs deem that he should be, that doesn't mean he's arrogant or that doesn't mean he's cocky. That just means he's confident in his abilities. Now, if you feel like Shedeur needs to work on his thing, he has things on his game, he has flaws in his game, then okay, I can understand that. But when we start getting into the cocky, arrogant stuff, that's the thing that kind of throws me off because they it's like they do it every time. It's a reoccurring theme. But if somebody else comes up there and if our counterparts get up there and say the same thing, you don't hear none of that. You don't hear none of that. You know what I'm saying? But if you feel like, okay, Shedeur may have some flaws in his game, I can agree because me personally, I feel like the quarterback class really isn't that good in total, and I definitely feel like Shedeur has some flaws in his game that need to be worked out. But I mean, so does every quarterback in this draft class. I mean, honestly, this is one of the weakest quarterback draft classes that I've seen in a little minute. You know what I'm saying? And I like Cam. I'm a big fan of Cam Ward. That's just what it is. But to say compare Shedeur to this is not a knock on these guys, but I like Jackson Dart from out of Ole Miss. I like Jalen Milroe and I like Quint Ewers, but let's be all the way honest. It's Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and then everybody else. We just was talking about Shedeur Sanders possibly being the number one pick a few months ago. So I'm trying to figure out in that short span, like how do we get here now to where we talking about the man possibly won't get drafted in the first round? Like, come on, man. I don't agree with that. I just had to speak on that, but I'm not buying it. I don't believe that Shedeur Sanders makes it out of the first round. I don't believe Shedeur Sanders makes it out the top 10. Honestly, it's too many needy quarterbacks. It's too many needy quarterback teams that, you know what I'm saying, we talking about, and this is no knock to him even. We talking about the Jets going into the season with Taylor as their quarterback. We know what you're getting from him. You know what you're getting from him. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I agree. I would put Cam Ward as my number one quarterback in this class too. But number two right behind him is Shedeur Sanders. And I don't think anybody should. I don't think that's even an argument. That's not even a question. Now, we talking about last year, then okay, I get it. But come on, man, let's be realistic. But we gotta cut it out with every African American quarterback that's confident or, not scared to say what's on their mind, we label that as arrogant or label that as brash. Now, I don't know what happened in the team meetings, but maybe he heard some things that NFL teams thought about him, and he carried that into the meetings. I don't know. I'm pretty sure when I see a report and it say 2 teams that are picking in the top 10, I automatically assume it got to be the New York Jets and probably I'm assuring you it's probably the Jets and the Raiders, more than likely. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But we've never heard anything, as far as his attitude or anything like that. And, leading up until just after he made those comments at the scouting combine. So I'm really not buying these reports. I think, teams just don't like the way that he came off. And I mean, the boy's dad is Deion Sanders. They are in circles that a lot of people now. I'm pretty sure they know what's being said about them behind closed doors, and they not afraid to express themselves, and as they shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? As they shouldn't. So I don't agree with it. Like I said, I'm not buying it. I think Shedeur Sanders will be a top 10 draft pick, and we just gonna have to wait and see what happens. But we gotta, like I said, we gotta stop that. The media out there and things of that nature, man, we got to stop creating these narratives on these young, African-American quarterbacks, that, that just because they exude confidence or they confident in their ability, that automatically means that they're arrogant or stuff. We got to stop that, man. These the same people that was calling Lamont Jackson the running back. When he came out, he fell all the way to the end of the first round. And guess what? Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. He has his team in the playoffs damn near every year and is one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. So we got to stop creating these narratives, man, because when our counterparts come up there and talk that same talk or say those same things, you don't never hear no problems. You don't never hear nobody never seems to have a problem with it. So we got to keep that same energy for everybody, man. And that's the end for that, man. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this episode up, man. Like I said, we back at the desk. I appreciate everybody who been locking in with me, who been staying consistent with me, man, tuning into each and every episode. Like I said, if you did not get a chance to go check out my interview with Isaiah Moore, go ahead and make that happen, man. Great conversation, great content. Also, do not forget to smash that subscribe button. We right there, 200 subscribers. Like and share the content. And do not forget to follow me on all social media platforms. And I'll see y'all next time.